Hello and a warm welcome to the Big Bright podcast. I'm your host, Emma, and today I'm joined by Martin, one of our two directors and the man who set up Bright alongside Eric Clack. He's watched the digital asset management industry grow and evolve over many years. So for anyone who's interested in how they could save time, effort, and generally enjoy their work more, Martin may well have the key. Hello, Martin.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So you're one of two directors at Bright. Can you give us a bit of an intro to yourself and also how you ended up being on the 9th floor of this wonderful office in Brighton?
Well, to address that last point, I walked up the stairs this morning just because I like to, taking that literally. I like to walk up the 9 flights of stairs at least once in the morning, just for a bit of exercise.
So busy.
And the lift gets really busy.
It's horrible.
And sometimes gets stuck. It's a bit temperamental. But how did we come to be here with Bright? So I met my current business partner, Eric, studying computer science at Warwick University. And we then both joined the same company in London, which was a software consultancy called Quidnunc. So that was in about 1995, so years ago, it seems now. We both stayed there for a while throughout the dot-com boom. When that all came crashing down, we decided to start a company in Brighton. So the reason for starting our own company mainly was both of us didn't really like working for other people. So we had, I think, a little bit of a problem with authority, maybe. And I think that's actually influenced how we run the company today. So we haven't gone for a traditional hierarchy with how we manage the company. We're much more into giving teams autonomy and ensuring that people can make their own decisions and work together as a team. So because Eric and I both studied computer science, we were both programmers, and from the very start of Bright, we've been all about solving people's problems with software. So that's always been a thing. We've just really enjoyed taking a problem and working out how to solve it.
That kind of leads me into my next question, I suppose. So for anyone that hasn't listened to our previous podcasts, and if you haven't, then make sure to subscribe. Can you kindly give us an elevator pitch, I guess, on what a DAM solution is and who would use it?
Sure. So at its heart, a DAM solution is a searchable database of digital assets. So digital assets are things like images, videos, documents, the kind of files that most organisations, pretty much all organisations these days, have an awful lot of. When you're quite a small company, you might have hundreds of assets, but very quickly, especially in this day and age, companies find that they've got hundreds of thousands of images and videos scattered across hard drives, that kind of thing.
I've been there, I've seen this.
Yeah. So a digital asset management system serves a number of purposes. It's really, though, about getting the return on investment that you've put into your digital assets. So a lot of companies will spend an awful lot of money on producing those assets, whether they're graphics that require designers to produce them or photos that they've either taken, paid a photographer to produce, or they bought online on stock photos. And all of those images and assets, if you can't find them easily, you can't use them and you're not getting the return on your investment. Also, especially in large organizations, you need to be able to control how people are using those images. So it's very important that digital assets are and what people do with them fit with the brand and fit with what the organisation's trying to achieve.
And I hear there is quite an amusing story about how you knew there was a need for digital asset management. One of your clients was at a school?
Well, this was a more recent thing, actually, and I think this is just an example of what software is all about. So with software, what we're trying to do is, yes, solve problems that organisations know they have, but also solve problems that they don't know that they might have. And so that's about perhaps automating mundane tasks. So if you've got humans who are having to spend a lot of time doing boring things, then that's a really good example of where software can help. And that frees people up. It frees humans up to concentrate on what they're good at, which is being creative and doing the sort of things that they enjoy. But also there can be some missed opportunities and potentially some problems with the sort of tasks that humans do, but could be done better by software. And I think the example that you're referring to there was where we were in a conversation with a school about how facial recognition could really benefit them. So in one of a new product that we've developed called Dash, facial recognition is quite a big part of that. And for schools in particular, actually any organisation that has pictures of people, it really has the potential to make everyone's lives a lot easier. And for this example, it was around how we could use facial recognition to help track consent, whether a school has got consent to use a pupil in a picture.
It's a huge issue, really,
isn't it?
It's a big
issue,
yeah.
Especially with GDPR. We were talking to a school about this and we were just doing some product discovery, talking about what they currently do to solve this problem. And they said, well, actually, we have a solution to that. We've got a man and he's been employed with us for years, 35 years or something. And he knows every person, every pupil that we've got here. So when a pupil arrives at the school, he memorises their face. And then if anybody wants to use a picture online, they wave the picture in front of this guy and he says, oh no, you can't use it because Joe Bloggs is in that and his parents haven't given consent. Or actually, seems like you're okay there. So that felt like a good process for them, but really that, as you can
what
imagine,
happens when the man goes?
Well, exactly. And
very
also
worrying.
if he gets it wrong, if he misses it.
So do they now use Dash?
They don't yet.
Yeah.
But that is a good example of where software can automate what is currently a manual process and do a much better job of it as well.
Bright has been running for over 20 years now. So what did things look like in the world of DAM when you first set up the business?
Well, when we first started the business, we were a general software development agency. So at that time, if a client couldn't buy what they wanted directly off the shelf, so pre-built software, then they could come to us and we would work out what it is that they need and then develop the software for them. So within a year or two, we'd got quite a few clients, and one of them was the Royal Shakespeare Company, and we developed a project for them to show off some of the assets that they've got, digital assets. And our job at that time was we were building a website for them. We were integrating with an existing database of images. I guess that was a DAM system, the thing that we integrated with, a sort of rudimentary DAM system. And it wasn't that good. It was difficult to work with. What the user experience wasn't good, and talking to the RSC about it, it was expensive. So we saw an opportunity there. We thought, perhaps we could do better than that. And it actually coincided with another client, GK and Driveline, who came to us with a problem, which is a classic digital asset management problem. They said, we're a largest company. We've got loads of images on our hard disks, on our network drives.
Hard disks.
Exactly. They're hard disks. That's a techie term. No one's saying that anymore.
No.
They had the problem where their employees couldn't find stuff. We were working with the marketing team. We built them a website and they saw us as problem solvers and they said, can you help us solve this problem? So we actually developed the first version of Asset Bank for that client, for GK and Driveline.
Oh, that's really interesting. So it's kind of all evolved from that problem that they were having.
Exactly. So at first it was, as I was saying earlier, it was really just a searchable database. But then what we added onto it was all the functionality to support all the processes of digital asset management, as well as being able to find things, the ability to track who's using things, the images, where they're being used, who's got the right to use them, who can see what, whether people need permission to download things before they use them, collaboration, those sorts of things.
So did that include talking to a lot of those clients or potential clients in those companies about the pain points and what they needed? Because I guess being, one company, you might have certain pain points, but they might come to you and say, well, actually, we need this, this and this. So did it develop through that process? Yeah,
exactly. And all good software development processes involve finding out what it is that are the pain points. So what are the problems that need to be solved? And then that's how you can either innovate using perhaps existing technology, or you've got an opportunity to really innovate by developing software that doesn't yet exist. Almost all software, especially these days, is built based on problems that people are having rather than just an idea that someone's got. We're in a good position with all the clients that we had to talk to them about the problems that they were having with it.
So that kind of coincides with the podcast that we've just done with Bryony, which was about agile marketing. And she talked a lot about the fact that she's taken some inspiration for working in a more agile way in the marketing team from your developers because they work in an agile way. So I suppose that then reflects on what you're saying about the communication and speaking to clients and working and learning from other people.
Exactly. So Agile is all at its heart is about avoiding waste. So in software development, traditionally, there's been an awful lot of waste. And most of that waste is things like developing software that actually isn't needed. So back in the day when people used a waterfall approach, where somebody would perhaps spec up the entire system before it was built, and then developers would just develop it in the absence of feedback from clients, you often ended up with a solution that may have met the business objectives, but perhaps 50% of the features just were either not used or were really underused. So Agile is about avoiding that situation and definitely talking to users and involving them in every step of the process.
And is that easy to get your developers to do that? Because traditionally you think of a developer as someone that maybe doesn't talk to clients.
You're right. That's definitely a
or is
stereotype.
Is that an unfair stereotype?
It's a bit of
from a marketer.
Well, it is a stereotype, but there is some truth in it. Some developers are not comfortable interacting with end users. But I think actually you give most developers a chance, and they do. And the situations that we're in, for example, sprint planning meetings with clients, it's not a hostile environment. The kind of us and them mentality where you're coming in as a vendor and it's a zero-sum game. Those days are gone. Now it's about collaborative relationships with clients where we're all trying to achieve the same thing, which is, a successful project.
I've heard on the grapevine that the aim as a business is to make people's workday more inspiring and productive. So this flows on very nicely. Like, how are you doing that?
The main answer to that would be we want to develop software that really helps people to be able to focus on what they enjoy doing at work. So most software companies will have a similar aim because that's what software is all about. But we want to really focus on, it's not just about efficiency, it's not just about people doing things quickly, although that's part of it. It's actually about really enjoying the experience of interacting with software, as well as having then more time to do other more creative things. So it's both of those things together, really.
And we had a bit of a conversation before about the fact that actually a piece of software that solves a problem is not actually enough anymore. Like, it has to have a sexy user face, and like iPhone, I think, is one of the examples that you used. How are you tackling that shift in Bright?
I think that's really interesting, and I think the B2C websites and applications have really changed the game a bit for B2B. So things like Facebook, all of the modern websites that users use online in their personal life, they're beginning to expect that level of interaction, that level of interest in what they do at work. So the idea that you can just have a functional application that gets the job done while at work, and then when you get home you're using really inspiring sort of software, that just doesn't wash anymore. So people are increasingly asking for interactive experiences and user experiences that they enjoy when they're working. And the other thing that's changed is that with SaaS products, which there's usually quite a low cost of entry, there's been a big switch towards the end users being the people who are making the decisions about the software that they use. So go back 20 years ago, it was all IT teams or procurement departments were going through the process of choosing the software. Now it is the end users. So if they don't like the experience, they're not going to choose the software. That whole kind of concept of making the user really enjoy using software is something that we've put at the heart of the new product that we've launched, Dash. And with Dash, we're really aiming for people to love the experience of using a digital asset management system. And the feedback we're getting from users is that it really is working. I mean, we had a prospect that we were demoing Dash to, and she said she was nearly in tears at how wonderful it seemed and how wonderful it was to use. So that was
put that on the website.
That was a pretty good validation of what we're trying to do with Dash.
So would you say it's fair to say it's gone from being more like dev-led to design-led?
Yes. It's good that you brought that up, because Eric and I were developers, and through our heritage, we've certainly started as a very tech-focused company, and it was all about the technology. And we enjoy having conversations and working on tech. And perhaps in the past... we're kind of geeky, I guess. But in the past, that has, I guess, influence how we developed the product. We've learned over the years that's a big part of it. You do need a very sound technical foundation to make software work, but obviously the user interaction is the key thing, because software is for humans. And so having that design focus, and that's a visual design focus, and also the focus on user experience right from the start, we've definitely changed towards that. And like everything now starts with user experience.
So running a successful tech business means that your finger needs to be constantly on the pulse. When you're at home, do you find that difficult to switch off? And I guess a lot of people in today's society working in digital are going to have this problem. So do you have any top tips?
I have fairly young children, so it's often not an option, to be honest, for me to be doing work at home. So, my family doesn't really allow it.
They grab your phone.
They do. So I definitely work less at home than I used to. When we were starting Bright in the early years, then I was working a lot, sort of longer hours and from home, and which is what most people do with a startup or a small company. I must say, though, with smartphones, it is very difficult to have any time that's off. When the kids are in bed, I'll check emails and respond to things that have happened and so on.
It's really hard not to.
It's really hard not to, and I do quite enjoy that. I don't see it as a problem.
Do you think that's because it's your own business, so you're obviously very invested in?
I think it is. I think I'm sort of highly motivated to do it. I don't see it as... I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it, or if I didn't want to do it. But it is a really important thing for us. The employees don't feel that they have to do that. So the work-life balance thing, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it's a really important thing for us, that we don't have people coming in doing really long hours. We really recommend they just do their 7.5 hours.
Because they lock their laptops up, don't they, here before they go?
Yes, they go in the safe.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Home, and we don't want people working from home, because it's not sustainable in the long run. When I worked in London, I used to do some really long hours, and It feels okay at first and it's exciting, you're involved in a project, but it doesn't work over the long run.
Just causes burnout, doesn't it?
It does,
Yeah.
and just disillusionment, and you can't sustain it for long.
So finally, Martin, what is the future for DAM?
Right, so this is something
the big question.
The big question. This is something that I've been thinking about for years, and I think I've got a couple of answers to that. I mean, in the near future, I think it's still all about trying to save time for the users more. If you look at most DAM solutions right now, they're actually not that fundamentally different from how they were 15, 20 years ago. If you went back in time and got a DAM system from then and put it next to a DAM system now, they'd look very similar. The user experience would be better and so on. People still spend too much time uploading images, tagging images, in order to make them searchable. And I think in the short term or the near future, that's going to change with, for example, artificial intelligence, which is things like auto tagging and facial recognition, and also with user experiences that are really optimized to ensure that people can do things as quickly as possible. So I think we will see some improvements in that. And one of the objectives that we've got in launching Dash is we have this goal of halving the time organisations spend managing their digital assets. And we think that's really achievable with the technology that's available right now.
It could free up so much time, couldn't it?
Exactly. I mean, if you count up over, especially a large organisation, the amount of time that is spent managing digital assets, it's huge. In the longer term, I think we're going to see digital asset management not as an application where people come to the DAM system to find an image and then they go off to use it somewhere else. We're going to see digital asset management as more like an operating system. So it's behind the scenes, it's powering lots of other applications and solutions that people are using. They're all about assets now. Every application has images and videos involved in it. We're seeing that happening a lot more. Integrations is a big thing. So most DAM systems will integrate with the Adobe suites, the content management systems that you're using, HubSpot and all of those things. But I think we'll see that go even further so that you don't really think of it as a DAM system. You just are using it without knowing it within all these other solutions. And that's the vision that we've got for what we're building. So Dash is just the first product on top of a new platform that we've developed. In the future, we want to be building bespoke front ends perhaps for clients that interact with our DAM services in the back end. We want to be producing sector specific DAM solutions, and these things will just do what the clients need. So they'll support the clients and the users' workflows, but no more than that, to keep it the experience as slick as possible.
So it sounds like you've got quite a lot on your plate over the next few years.
I think so.
A bit of a busy time for
Yes.
Bright, but it's been really, really interesting chatting to you about DAM, and as someone that didn't know huge amounts before I met you and the guys at Bright, I mean, I feel like I know quite a lot now, so that's always good. And if anyone else is listening to the podcast and feels like they might be in need of some sort of asset bank and they want to get in touch with you, Martin, like what's the best way to do that?
Definitely come to our website so you can contact us via that. I'm personally always very interested to hear the problems that people are having and how we can help with that. I always get very excited about having a chat about the challenges that people are facing. So I'm more than happy to be approached directly. My name's Martin Wilson. You can get to me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and follow Bright as well on LinkedIn because you're quite active on there. So
yes, we are. So that's another thing. It would be really good to hear from people on.
Fantastic. Thanks, Martin.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening. Please remember to subscribe to ensure you never miss an episode. You can find out more top tips from the Bright team on our website at bright-interactive.co.uk.